You are not what I expected.
Sir, I'm from the agency. I'm here to interview for the nanny
I
position.
know why you're here. What I don't know is how I'm supposed to let you leave.
Excuse me?
Your curves, they own me now. From the second I saw you standing in my doorway. I built a billion-dollar company on control, on discipline, on never wanting anything I couldn't have, and then you walked into my home and drove me crazy.
Mr. Kwan?
Tell me you don't feel it too. Tell me I'm alone in this madness.
Jenny Obina wasn't supposed to be in that penthouse. The agency had sent her as a last-minute replacement. The original nanny canceled, and the Kim family needed someone now. So here she was, 28 years old, wearing her best interview dress that was 2 years out of style, standing in a $40 million Seoul penthouse that overlooked the entire city like something out of a movie. She was there to meet Mrs. Kim and the children. Simple, professional, a job interview, nothing more. But Mrs. Kim wasn't home yet. Instead, the door opened to reveal Kwon Jae-sung, CEO of Hanmin Industries, still in his suit from whatever boardroom he'd just dominated, tie loosened, top button undone, looking exhausted in that way powerful men do when they finally let their guard down. And the exact moment, he looked at her, something shifted in his eyes. Not the polite once-over most employers gave. Not the suspicious skin-checking if she was appropriate for their precious children. This was different. Dangerous, his pupils dilated, his breathing changed. His entire body went still, like a predator that just spotted prey, except Jenny was no prey. "You," he said, his English perfect but his voice rough like he'd just woken from a dream he didn't want to end, "are not what I expected." Jenny clutched her portfolio tighter, suddenly aware of how his eyes were moving. Slowly, deliberately, over her face, taking in her brown skin that glowed even under the harsh penthouse lights. Over her natural hair, pulled back in a professional bun that took her 30 minutes to perfect. Down to where her dress, modest, appropriate, bought specifically for interviews, still couldn't hide the curves she'd spent years learning not to apologize for. When his gaze returned to hers, there was heat there. Hunger. Want. "Sir, I'm from the agency," Jenny managed, her voice steadier than she felt. "I'm here to interview for the nanny position. I know why you're here." He stepped closer, and the scent of his cologne hit her. Expensive. Cedar and something darker, more dangerous. "What I don't know is how I'm supposed to let you leave." Jenny's heart hammered against her ribs. "Excuse me? Your curves." His voice dropped lower, intimate, like they were the only two people in the world. "They own me now. From the second I saw you standing in my doorway." He shook his head slowly, like he couldn't believe what he was saying but couldn't stop himself either. "I've built a billion-dollar company on control, on discipline, on never wanting anything I couldn't have. And then you walked into my home. Mr. Kwan, tell me you don't feel it too." He was close now, too close, invading her space in a way that should have felt threatening, but somehow didn't. "Tell me I'm alone in this madness." Jenny should have run. Should have grabbed her portfolio, called the agency, reported this inappropriate, unprofessional, absolutely insane behavior. But she couldn't move. Because God help her, she did feel it. That electricity crackling in the air between them. That magnetic pull that made her want to lean in instead of back away. That dangerous, thrilling, absolutely terrifying recognition that this man, this stranger, saw her. Really saw her. Not as the help, not as someone to overlook, but as a woman who could bring a powerful man to his knees. And Jenny Obina, who had come to Seoul 3 months ago to escape her past, who needed this job to survive, who had sworn she'd never let another man make her feel small or controlled, or less than, felt the ground shift beneath her feet. Because Kwon Jae-sung wasn't looking at her like she was the help. He was looking at her like she was salvation. And that was more dangerous than anything she'd left behind in Atlanta. Before we go any further, we'd love for you to hit that subscribe button. Your support means the world to us, and it helps us bring you even more powerful stories. The door burst open before Jenny could respond, and a small whirlwind of energy exploded into the penthouse. "Appa! Appa!" 2 identical 6-year-old voices shouted in Korean, and suddenly Jae-sung stepped back from Jenny so fast she almost stumbled. The heat in his eyes didn't disappear, but a mask of control slammed down over his features, transforming him from the man who'd just confessed his obsession to a composed father in half a second. 2 children, a boy and a girl, both with the same serious dark eyes and perfectly straight black hair, came running around the corner, followed by an elegant woman in a cream-colored suit, her phone pressed to her ear. "I understand, yes, I'll call you back," the woman said in Korean, ending her call as she took in the scene. Her gaze moved from Jae-sung to Jenny, and something flickered in her expression. Not jealousy. Something else. Recognition, maybe. Or resignation. Mrs. Kim, Jenny said quickly, stepping forward with her hand extended, trying to pretend the last 2 minutes hadn't happened. I'm Jenny Obina from the agency. I'm so sorry I'm early. You're not early, I'm late. Seo-yeon Kim's English was impeccable, her handshake firm and brief. My mother had an episode at the hospital. I apologize for the confusion. She glanced at her husband. Jae-sung, I didn't realize you were home. Early meeting cancelled. His voice was different now. Flat. Professional. Nothing like the raw hunger from moments before. I was just introducing myself. Seo-yeon's lips curved in something that wasn't quite a smile. Of course you were. She turned back to Jenny, and her expression softened genuinely. These are our twins. Minjun and Jiwoo. They're 6, and they're the reason we need help. The little girl, Jiwoo, Jenny guessed, was staring at her with wide, curious eyes. You're very pretty, she said in careful English. Like a princess from Appa's storybooks. Jiwoo. Seo-yeon's cheeks flushed. We don't. Thank you, Jenny said, crouching down to the girl's level, making herself small and approachable. That's very sweet. And you're pretty too. I love your hair ribbon. Jiwoo beamed, touching the pink ribbon in her hair. Her brother, Minjun, hung back, more cautious, studying Jenny with the same intense gaze his father had. Like father, like son. Do you know any games? Minjun asked suddenly, his English more hesitant than his sister's. American games? I know lots of games, Jenny said, smiling. And I know stories, too. Stories about Anansi the spider, and how the sky got so far away, and why the sun and moon live in the sky. Those aren't American stories, Minjun said, suspicious but interested. You're right. They're African stories. My grandmother told them to me when I was your age, back in Georgia. My family is from Nigeria originally. Nigeria. Jiwoo clapped her hands. That's in Africa. We learned about it in school. There are lions there. Actually, most of Nigeria doesn't have lions, Jenny said gently. But there are other amazing animals. And music and art, and the best food you've ever tasted. She caught Jae-sung watching her from across the room, his expression unreadable now, but his hands clenched at his sides. Seo-yeon noticed too, and something passed between husband and wife. A silent conversation Jenny couldn't interpret. Why don't you children go wash up for dinner? Seo-yeon said. Miss Jenny and I need to talk. But Iyama, Jiwoo started. Now please. The twins obeyed, but Jiwoo grabbed Jenny's hand first. Will you stay? Please. I want to hear about Nigeria. We'll see, Jenny said softly. Go on now. Once the children disappeared down a hallway, Seo-yeon gestured to a pristine white sofa. Please sit. Would you like tea? Coffee? Water is fine, thank you. Jae-sung moved to the bar area without being asked, pouring 3 glasses of water with movements that were too controlled, too precise. Like a man trying very hard not to look at something, or someone, he desperately wanted to see. Your resume is impressive, Seo-yeon said, settling into an armchair across from Jenny. Early childhood education degree from Georgia State, 5 years of experience with international families, fluent in English obviously, and… She paused, glancing at the paper. Conversational Korean? Jenny nodded. I was raised by a Korean foster family from age 10 to 18. They taught me the language. That made Jae-sung's head snap up. You speak Korean? Conversationally, Jenny repeated, keeping her voice professional even though her pulse was racing. I'm not fluent, but I understand it well enough to help with homework and communicate with teachers. That's perfect, Seo-yeon said, but she was watching her husband again, that same unreadable expression on her face. The twins attend Seoul International School, so English is primary, but we want them to maintain their Korean as well. Your background would be ideal for that transition. Jae-sung brought the water glasses over, setting them on the coffee table. When his fingers accidentally brushed Jenny's as she reached for her glass, electricity shot up her arm. His jaw tightened, and she knew he felt it too. Tell me about your experience in Seoul so far, Seo-yeon said, either not noticing or choosing to ignore the tension crackling in the room. The agency mentioned you've been here 3 months? Jenny took a sip of water, buying time to steady her voice. Yes. I came here on a tourist visa initially, just to experience something different. I've been teaching English part-time at a language academy in Gangnam while figuring out my next steps. And what made you choose Seoul? Jae-sung asked quietly. He'd moved to lean against the wall, arms crossed, watching her with that same hungry intensity. It's a long way from Georgia. Because I was running, Jenny thought. Because Marcus's threats got too serious, and I needed an ocean between us. Because I couldn't breathe in Atlanta anymore, couldn't exist in a world where every corner might have him waiting. I wanted a challenge, she said instead, which wasn't entirely a lie. A chance to experience a different culture, push myself out of my comfort zone. Korea has such a rich history, and Seoul is so vibrant and modern. It seemed like the perfect place to start over. Something flickered in Jae-sung's eyes. Understanding, maybe. Like he recognized the truth hiding behind her carefully chosen words. Starting over is brave, Seo-yeon said softly. Not many people have the courage to rebuild their lives in a foreign country. She set down her own water glass. I'll be honest with you, Miss Obina. This position is more than just childcare. My mother is in the final stages of cancer. I'm spending most of my time at the hospital or handling her affairs. My husband works 12, sometimes 14-hour days building his company. The twins need consistency. Stability. Someone who can be present when we can't be. I understand, Jenny said, meaning it. Children need to know someone is there. That they're not alone. Exactly. Seo-yeon leaned forward. The position comes with your own quarters here in the penthouse. A private bedroom and bathroom in the East Wing. Salary is 45 million won per year, plus health insurance and a monthly allowance for personal expenses. We'll sponsor your work visa and handle all the legal requirements. Jenny's mind raced, converting the numbers. 45 million won was roughly $35,000. More than she'd been making teaching English. More than she'd ever made in her life, actually. And a sponsored work visa meant security. Stability. No more worrying about her tourist visa expiring in 3 months. That's very generous, she said carefully. The work will be demanding, Seo-yeon countered. Early mornings, late nights when needed. Some travel with the family. Complete dedication to Minjun and Ji-woo's well-being and development. I'm not afraid of hard work, Mrs. Kim. I've been working since I was 16. I can see that. Seo-yeon glanced at her husband one more time, and this time the look was pointed. Meaningful. Then she turned back to Jenny with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Would you be willing to start next week? I know it's short notice, but my mother's condition is deteriorating rapidly, and I need to know the children are cared for. Next week would be perfect. Excellent. Seo-yeon stood, extending her hand again. Welcome to our family, Miss Obina. I think you're exactly what we need. What we need, Jenny thought, shaking the offered hand. Not what I need. Interesting choice of words. I should go say goodbye to the twins, Jenny said. If that's all right? Of course. Down that hallway, second door on the right. Jenny found them in a playroom that was bigger than her entire studio apartment, filled with toys and books, and a window seat overlooking the glittering Seoul skyline. Minjun was building something complex with Legos while Ji-woo flipped through a picture book. Are you leaving? Ji-woo asked, looking up with those big, serious eyes. For now, Jenny said, kneeling beside her. But I'm coming back next week. I'm going to be your new nanny. Really? Ji-woo's face lit up. You're going to live here? With us? In my own room, yes. Will you tell us the African stories? Every night before bed, if you want. Ji-woo threw her arms around Jenny's neck, hugging her tight. Over the little girl's shoulder, Jenny saw Minjun watching, still cautious, still evaluating. She met his gaze steadily, letting him take his time. Do you keep promises? He asked finally. Always. Appa makes promises sometimes, but then work happens and he can't keep them. Minjun's voice was matter-of-fact, but Jenny heard the hurt underneath. Will work make you break promises too? Jenny's heart cracked a little. I promise I will do everything in my power to keep my word to you. Both of you. That's the most honest answer I can give. Minjun studied her for a long moment, then nodded. Okay, that's fair. When Jenny emerged from the playroom, Seo-yeon was gone, but Jae-sung was waiting in the hallway. Alone. Mr. Kwon, Jenny said, trying to step around him. I should go. Wait. His hand caught her arm, gentle but firm, and heat flooded through her at the touch. I need to apologize. What I said when you arrived, it was completely inappropriate. You work for us now, and I had no right. It's fine, Jenny interrupted, even though it wasn't fine, even though her skin was burning where his fingers rested on her arm. Let's just forget it happened. I can't forget it. His voice dropped to that same rough whisper from before. I've tried. For the last 30 minutes, I've tried to convince myself I imagined it, that I was tired or stressed or having some kind of breakdown. But then you walked out of that playroom, and I looked at you, and He stopped himself, jaw working. This is insane. Yes, Jenny agreed quietly. It is. Which is why we're not going to do this. Do what? Whatever this is. She gestured between them. You're married. You're my employer. You have children who need stability, not chaos. And she took a breath. I came to Seoul to escape complications, not create new ones. What were you escaping? The question was soft, concerned, and somehow that made it worse. That's none of your business, Mr. Kwan. Jae-sung. When it's just us, call me Jae-sung. There won't be a just us, Jenny said firmly, even as her traitorous body wanted to lean into his touch. I'll be professional. I'll be an excellent nanny to your children. But that's all this can be. Do you understand? He held her gaze for a long moment, and Jenny saw the war happening behind his eyes. Want versus duty. Desire versus control. Finally, slowly, he released her arm. I understand, he said. But Jenny. Yes. You should know something about me. When I want something, I don't give up. I didn't build Hanmin Industries by accepting defeat. His eyes burned into hers. And I've never wanted anything the way I want you. Then he turned and walked away, leaving Jenny standing in the hallway, heart racing, skin tingling where he'd touched her, and absolutely terrified because she knew. God help her, she knew that she wanted him just as badly. And that was a disaster waiting to happen. The first morning Jenny woke up in the Kim penthouse, she thought she was dreaming. Sunlight streamed through floor-to-ceiling windows, painting Seoul in shades of gold and pink. Her room, her private room, was bigger than the entire studio apartment she'd been renting in Hongdae for the last 3 months. King-sized bed with Egyptian cotton sheets. Ensuite bathroom with a soaking tub and rainfall shower. A walk-in closet that currently held exactly 3 outfits and a pair of worn sneakers. She'd moved in 2 days ago with everything she owned fitting into 2 suitcases. The agency had helped coordinate the logistics, though Seo-yeon had insisted on sending a car and driver. Your family now, she'd said with that same smile that never quite reached her eyes. Family doesn't take the subway with luggage. Family. The word felt foreign on Jenny's tongue. She hadn't had family, real family, since her grandmother died when she was 9. The foster system had given her shelter and food, and eventually the Choi family, who'd loved her as best they could, but it wasn't the same. Wasn't blood. Wasn't hers. Now here she was, living in a $40 million penthouse with a family that wasn't hers either, trying to ignore the fact that she was intensely, dangerously attracted to the husband. Her phone buzzed. 6:47 a.m. Time to get the twins ready for school. Jenny pulled on jeans and a soft sweater, casual but professional, and twisted her natural hair into a pineapple updo. She'd woken at 5:30 to do her skincare routine, something she'd learned from watching Korean beauty videos during her first month in Seoul. The 10-step routine had seemed excessive at first, but her skin had never looked better. She paused at her door, touching the waist beads hidden under her clothes. They'd been her grandmother's, then her mother's, now hers. 23 hand-strung beads in shades of amber and gold, resting against her hips beneath everything. A reminder of who she was, where she came from, the strength in her bloodline. You're a warrior, Jenny girl, her grandmother used to say in her thick Igbo accent, fingers tracing the beads. These remind you. When the world tries to make you small, you remember. You come from Queens. Jenny took a breath, opened her door, and almost collided with Jae-sung. He stood in the hallway outside her room, dressed for work in a charcoal suit that probably cost more than her entire wardrobe, holding 2 cups of coffee. His hair was slightly damp, like he'd just showered, and he smelled like that same cedar and dark spice that haunted her dreams. Good morning, he said, voice still rough with morning. He held out one of the cups. Americano. The agency file said you prefer it black. Jenny stared at the offered coffee. You read my file? I read everything about the people in my home. His eyes traced over her face, lingering on her lips before snapping back up. Sugar? No. Black is perfect. She took the cup, careful not to let their fingers touch. Thank you. You didn't have to. I wanted to. He sipped his own coffee, watching her over the rim. Did you sleep well? Is the room comfortable? It's perfect. More than perfect. I've never. She stopped herself before admitting how overwhelming all this luxury was. It's very generous. My wife believes people work better when they're comfortable. Something flickered in his expression when he said my wife. Not happiness. Not even neutrality. Something darker, more resigned. The twins will be awake in about 10 minutes. They're usually cranky before breakfast. Most kids are. Seo-yeon left for the hospital an hour ago. Her mother had a difficult night. He paused. Which means it's just us for breakfast. The twins, I mean. And me. I have a meeting at 9, but I wanted to be here for your first morning. Just us. The words hung between them, heavy with meaning he probably didn't intend, but she felt anyway. That's very thoughtful, Jenny said carefully. I'm sure the twins will appreciate it. The twins. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Right. Of course. The twins. They stood there in the hallway, two people pretending they didn't feel the electricity crackling between them, until a door down the hall burst open and Ji-woo came running out in princess pajamas, her hair a wild nest around her face. Jenny! Jenny, you're here. You're really here. The little girl launched herself at Jenny, who barely had time to set down her coffee cup before catching her. Good morning, sweet girl, Jenny said, hugging her back. Did you sleep well? I dreamt about the spider stories. Will you tell me another one today? How about tonight before bed? Minjun emerged more slowly, rubbing his eyes, still suspicious but less hostile than he'd been at their first meeting. Morning, he muttered in Korean, then seemed to remember himself. Good morning. Good morning, Minjun, Jenny replied in Korean and watched his eyes widen slightly. She crouched down to his level. Did you sleep okay? He nodded slowly. Your Korean is good. Thank you. Yours is better. That earned her a small smile. Progress. Jae-sung watched the interaction with an expression Jenny couldn't quite read. Pride mixed with something that looked almost like longing. Come on, he said, switching to English for Jenny's benefit. Let's get breakfast before you're late for school. The kitchen was a masterpiece of modern design, all white marble and stainless steel, and appliances that probably cost more than a car. A woman in her 50s was already there, pulling dishes from an oven. Jenny, this is Mrs. Huang, our housekeeper, Jae-sung said. Mrs. Huang, this is Miss Jenny, the new nanny. Mrs. Huang looked Jenny up and down, her expression skeptical, then said something in rapid Korean that Jenny caught about half of. Something about foreign girls and causing trouble. Mrs. Huang, Jae-sung said sharply in Korean, Miss Jenny is part of this household now. You will treat her with respect. The housekeeper's lips thinned, but she nodded curtly and went back to her cooking. I apologize for that, Jae-sung said quietly to Jenny. She's been with my family for 20 years. Sometimes she forgets her place. It's fine, Jenny said, though it wasn't. She'd gotten used to the stares and whispers in her 3 months in Seoul. Black women weren't exactly common here, and the few she'd met had all shared stories of casual racism, of being touched without permission, of constant questions about their hair and skin. But she'd deal with Mrs. Huang the same way she dealt with everything else, with dignity and patience and the quiet strength her grandmother had taught her. Breakfast was a strange mix of Korean and Western food, rice and soup alongside scrambled eggs and toast. The twins chattered about school, about their upcoming field trip to the National Museum, about 1,000 little things that filled the space so Jenny and Jae-sung didn't have to talk to each other directly. But she felt his eyes on her. Constantly. Every time she reached for the juice. Every time she laughed at something Ji-woo said. Every time she breathed, it seemed like he was watching, cataloging, memorizing. And God help her, she was hyper-aware of him too. The way his long fingers wrapped around his coffee cup. The way his throat moved when he swallowed. The way his suit jacket stretched across his shoulders when he reached for the pepper. This was going to be torture. After breakfast, Jenny helped the twins get ready for school, brushing teeth, finding backpacks, tying Ji-woo's hair into neat pigtails. Jae-sung left for his meeting with one last lingering look that made Jenny's stomach flip, and then the driver took them all to Seoul International School. The school was in Songbuk-dong, a wealthy neighborhood north of the Han River. The building was modern and sprawling with signs in English, Korean, and Chinese. Parents in expensive cars dropped off children in designer uniforms, and Jenny felt acutely aware of her Target jeans and the fact that her sweater, while nice, had come from an outlet mall in Atlanta. Miss Jenny. Ji-woo grabbed her hand as they walked toward the entrance. Will you pick us up too? Every day, Jenny promised. I'll be right here waiting at 3:30. Minjun hung back, watching the other parents, and Jenny saw his expression shudder when he noticed several mothers whispering and glancing their way. She knew that look, had worn it herself 1,000 times. Hey, she said softly, kneeling in front of him. You okay? They're talking about you, he said in Korean, so Ji-woo wouldn't understand. Saying you're different. I am different, Jenny agreed in the same language. And that's okay. Different doesn't mean less. It just means unique. Appa says unique is good in business but hard in life. Your appa is very smart. Jenny touched his cheek gently. But you know what? The hardest things often turn out to be the best things. Being different means I can teach you things other people can't. Like African stories and American games, and what it means to be brave when the world doesn't understand you. Minjun studied her face for a long moment. Were you brave? Is that why you came to Korea? No, Jenny thought. I ran. I was a coward who couldn't face Marcus anymore, who couldn't stand the constant fear, who needed an ocean between me and my past. I'm trying to be brave, she said instead. Every single day I'm trying. And some days are easier than others. But I keep trying. That's what matters. He nodded slowly, then did something that surprised her. He hugged her quickly, fiercely, before pulling away and running into the school without looking back. Jiwoo squeezed Jenny's hand. Minjun likes you. He doesn't hug people he doesn't like. I like him too, Jenny said, her throat tight. Both of you. Very much. After dropping the twins at school, Jenny had the driver take her back to the penthouse. The plan was to use the mornings for household errands and preparation, then pick up the twins in the afternoon and handle homework, activities, and dinner. But when she walked into the penthouse, she heard voices from Jae-sung's study. The door was cracked open, and she could see him pacing, phone pressed to his ear, speaking rapid Korean. She knew she should walk past. Mind her own business. But something in his tone made her pause. Understand the implications, he was saying. If they move forward with the merger, we'll lose majority control. 20 years of work gone. A pause. Then, I don't care what Choi says. Dae-young has been waiting for an opening like this since I took over the company. He'll use any excuse to stage a hostile takeover. Another pause, longer this time. My personal life is not relevant to this conversation. Seo-yeon and I have an arrangement. What we do privately is our business. Jenny's breath caught. What we do privately. Yes, I'm aware of the optics. A separation right now would be seen as weakness by the board. But staying in a loveless marriage indefinitely isn't sustainable either. Loveless marriage. The words echoed in Jenny's head as she carefully, quietly moved away from the door. So it was true. What she'd sensed that first day. The distance between husband and wife, the way they spoke to each other with polite formality instead of intimacy, it wasn't her imagination. They weren't happy. Possibly hadn't been happy for a long time. That shouldn't have mattered. Shouldn't have changed anything. But it did. That night, after dinner and homework and the promised Anansi story that had both twins giggling in their beds, Jenny retreated to her room. She video-called her best friend Maya, who answered on the second ring. Girl, finally. Maya's face filled the screen, her box braids piled on top of her head, Atlanta's evening light streaming through her window. I've been waiting for you to call all week. How's living with the rich and powerful? Complicated, Jenny admitted, sinking onto her bed. Maya, I think I made a mistake. What kind of mistake? That I forgot to buy milk kind, or that I'm catching feelings for my married boss kind? Jenny's silence was answer enough. Oh hell no, Maya said. Jenny Mayobina. Please tell me you did not fall for a married man. After everything with Marcus, after everything you went through to get away. I'm not falling for him, Jenny interrupted. I'm just aware of him. Very aware. All the time. It's like I can feel when he's in the room, even when I can't see him. That's called attraction, babe. And it's a problem when the man is married. They're not happy, Jenny said quietly. I overheard him on the phone today. He called it a loveless marriage. Said they have an arrangement. Oh, so that makes it okay? Maya's voice was sharp. Jenny, listen to yourself. Every man who cheats says his marriage is dead, his wife doesn't understand him. They're only together for the kids or the money or whatever excuse makes him feel better about stepping out. Don't be that woman. I'm not being that woman. I haven't done anything. I'm not going to do anything. But you want to. Jenny stopped, closed her eyes. Yes. God help me, yes. The way he looks at me, Maya, it's like I'm the only thing in the world that matters. Like I'm water and he's been dying of thirst. No one's ever looked at me like that. Not even. Don't say his name, Maya cut in. Marcus doesn't deserve to be part of this conversation. He's the reason I'm in this mess. If I didn't have to run. You didn't run. You left. You made a choice to protect yourself, and that was brave. But now you need to make another choice, Jenny. You need to decide if this job is worth the heartbreak that's coming. The twins need me, Jenny protested. You should see them, Maya. Minjun is so serious, and Jiwoo is this bundle of pure joy, and they're both hurting because their parents are basically strangers living in the same house. I can help them. I can make a difference. And what about you? Who's going to help you when you fall in love with a man you can't have? Jenny didn't have an answer for that. After she ended the call, she lay in her bed staring at the ceiling, listening to the sounds of the penthouse at night. Quiet footsteps, Mrs. Huang leaving for her own apartment. The hum of the refrigerator. The distant sounds of Seoul traffic 68 floors below. And then, around midnight, footsteps in the hallway. Slow. Hesitant. They stopped outside her door. Jenny held her breath, heart pounding, knowing it was him. Knowing he was standing there, probably with his hand raised to knock, fighting the same battle she was fighting. The silence stretched. 1 minute. 2. Then the footsteps moved away. Jenny released her breath and touched the waist beads hidden under her sleep shirt. You come from Queens, her grandmother's voice whispered in her memory. When the world tries to make you small, you remember, you're a warrior. But what happens when the biggest threat wasn't the world trying to make her small? What happens when the biggest threat was her own traitorous heart? 3 weeks into her position, Jenny was settling into a rhythm. Wake at 6. Coffee with Jae-sung. They'd fallen into the habit despite themselves. Get the twins ready for school. Morning errands or household tasks. Pick up from school. Homework, activities, dinner, stories, bed. Then the dangerous hours between 8 p.m. and midnight when the twins were asleep. When Seo-yeon was at the hospital. When Jenny and Jae-sung orbited each other in the penthouse like magnets trying not to touch. It was torture. Beautiful, exquisite torture. They kept their distance. Mostly. But there were moments, brushing past each other in the kitchen, reaching for the same book to read to the twins, the accidental touch of hands when he passed her the car keys. That felt like fire under her skin. And through it all, Seo-yeon's mother was dying. Jenny had never met Mrs. Song, but she felt her presence everywhere. In the flowers Seo-yeon brought home from the hospital and placed around the penthouse. In the twins' careful questions about whether Halmoni, grandmother, would be home for Chuseok. In the way Seo-yeon grew thinner and paler with each passing day, returning at midnight smelling like hospital antiseptic and grief. Then, on a Tuesday morning in late September, Seo-yeon's mother died. Jenny found out when Jae-sung called at 7 a.m., his voice rough and tired. Seo-yeon's mother passed an hour ago. Don't tell the twins yet. I'll come home at noon and we'll tell them together. The funeral was scheduled for 3 days later, following traditional Korean customs Jenny was only vaguely familiar with. The twins would wear hanbok and bow deeply to honor their grandmother. There would be food offerings and incense and rituals Jenny didn't understand but respected. Will you come? Ji-woo asked the night before the funeral. She'd cried for hours after learning about her grandmother, and now she lay in Jenny's lap, exhausted. To the funeral? If your parents want me there, yes. I want you there, Min-jun said from where he sat by the window, trying to be strong like his father but failing, his eyes red-rimmed. Please. So Jenny went. The funeral hall was in Gangnam, a large, modern space filled with white chrysanthemums and photographs of Mrs. Song throughout her life. She'd been beautiful, elegant bone structure that Seo-yeon had inherited, kind eyes that crinkled at the corners when she smiled. Jenny stood in the back, trying to be invisible, but Ji-woo kept running to her for comfort. Min-jun maintained his stoic facade until he didn't, breaking down during the ceremony, and suddenly he was in Jenny's arms too, sobbing against her shoulder while Jae-sung's jaw tightened with the effort of not doing the same. After the main ceremony, during the reception, Jenny found herself in a quiet hallway, needing a moment to breathe. You're good with them. She turned to find Seo-yeon standing behind her, still in her formal hanbok, looking ethereally beautiful and completely exhausted. They're good kids, Jenny said softly. I'm so sorry for your loss, Mrs. Kim. Your mother must have been an incredible woman. She was. Seo-yeon's voice cracked slightly. She was the only person who really understood me. Who knew? She trailed off, staring at nothing, and Jenny recognized that look. The weight of secrets. The burden of living a lie. Mrs. Kim, are you? I'm having an affair. The words dropped between them like stones. Jenny's breath caught. Seo-yeon laughed, but there was no humor in it. I'm sorry. God, I don't know why I just said that. Maybe because my mother's gone and she was the only one who knew the truth. And I can't keep pretending. Mrs. Kim, you don't have to tell me. Yes, I do. Seo-yeon turned to face her fully, and her eyes were fierce. Because you need to understand. You need to know what you're walking into. I don't understand. Don't you? Seo-yeon's smile was sad. I see how he looks at you, Jenny. How you look at him. The same way I looked at Tae-min when we were teenagers. Before our families decided who we should marry. Jenny's head was spinning. I'm not, we haven't. I know. Jae-sung is many things, but he's not a cheater. Neither am I, technically. She laughed again, that same bitter sound. Our marriage was arranged. Business merger. His family's company, my family's connections. We were 23 years old, and we didn't love each other, but we thought we could learn to. We thought duty would be enough. Mrs. Kim. It wasn't. 7 years of polite distance. 7 years of separate bedrooms and scheduled sex for conception purposes, and pretending we were happy when anyone was watching. Seo-yun's voice dropped. And then 2 years ago, I ran into Taemin at a conference. My first love. The boy my parents said wasn't good enough because his family didn't have the right connections. And I realized I'd spent my entire adult life being who everyone else wanted me to be. So I started seeing him again. Secretly. Quietly. And Jae-sung knows. And he doesn't care because he doesn't love me any more than I love him. She met Jenny's eyes. We have an understanding. We stay married for the children and the company. We maintain appearances. But privately, we're free to find happiness wherever we can. Jenny didn't know what to say. This entire conversation felt surreal, impossible, like something from a K-drama, not real life. Why are you telling me this? She finally asked. Because I see it happening already. The way my children light up when you're around. The way my husband can't stop watching you. The way this family is becoming something it hasn't been in years, real. Seo-yun touched Jenny's arm gently. I'm not asking you to pursue my husband. I'm not giving you permission to have an affair. I'm just saying, don't make the same mistake I did. Don't let duty and appearances trap you in a life that makes you miserable. Mrs. Kim, he's still your husband. You have children. I can't. We're waiting until the children are older. Maybe 3 for more years. Then we'll divorce quietly. Split custody. Jae-sung will get the company, I'll get the real estate portfolio, and we'll both finally get to live authentically. She smiled, and this time it reached her eyes. But in the meantime, life is short. My mother taught me that. She told me 3 days before she died, don't waste your life on shoulds, Seo-yun. Find your musts. She squeezed Jenny's arm once and walked back toward the reception hall, leaving Jenny standing alone in the hallway, her world tilted on its axis. That night, after the twins were asleep, after Seo-yun had retired to her room, Jenny found Jae-sung on the penthouse balcony. It was the first time she'd been out there, 68 floors up, Seoul sprawling below them like a constellation of lights. He stood at the railing, tie loosened, jacket discarded somewhere inside, looking out at his city. You shouldn't be out here, Jenny said softly. It's cold. I needed air. He didn't turn around. The twins told me you held them during the ceremony. That you didn't let go even when your arms must have been tired. They needed someone. They have parents. Who were grieving. Who needed to grieve without worrying about them. Jenny moved closer, wrapping her cardigan tighter against the October chill. That's my job. To be there when you can't be. Is that all it is? A job. Jae-sung. Seo-yun told me she talked to you today. Now he did turn, and the look in his eyes was intense, searching. She told me what she said. About our arrangement. She was grieving. People say things when they're grieving. She told you the truth. He moved closer, and Jenny's breath hitched. We're not in love. We've never been in love. We're business partners who happen to share children and a last name. That's all we've ever been. That doesn't make this okay, Jenny whispered, even as her traitorous body swayed toward him. You're still married. Your children still need stability. And I. She closed her eyes. I came here to escape complications, not create them. What were you escaping? It was the second time he'd asked. This time, with the night wrapped around them and grief making everyone raw and honest, Jenny answered. His name was Marcus. We dated for 2 years in Atlanta. At first he was perfect, attentive, caring, protective. Then the protection became control. The caring became criticism. The attention became surveillance. She hugged herself tighter. He'd show up at my job unannounced. Text me every 5 minutes demanding to know where I was. Go through my phone while I was sleeping. Get angry if I wore certain clothes or talked to certain people. Did he hurt you? Jae-sung's voice was deadly quiet. Not physically. Not at first. But the emotional abuse was constant. He convinced me I was lucky anyone wanted me, that no one else would put up with my attitude, that I should be grateful for his love. She laughed bitterly. By the time he pushed me against a wall for talking to a male coworker, I was already so worn down I thought I deserved it. Jenny. I got a restraining order. Moved to a different neighborhood. Changed my phone number. But he kept finding me. Kept showing up. kept leaving notes on my car, flowers at my door, texts from new numbers. She finally opened her eyes, met his gaze. So I left the country. Bought a plane ticket to Seoul on a credit card I couldn't afford, packed 2 suitcases and ran. Because I couldn't breathe in Atlanta anymore. Couldn't exist in a city where every corner might have him waiting. Jae-sung's jaw was tight, his hands clenched at his sides. Does he know where you are? No. I told everyone, even Maya, not to tell him anything. As far as Marcus knows, I disappeared. Good. The word came out hard, final. And he'll never find you. I'll make sure of it. Jae-sung, you can't. I have resources. Connections. If this man is a threat to you, he'll be handled. That's exactly why I can't do this, Jenny said desperately. Can't let myself feel what I'm feeling. Because you're this powerful man who can make problems disappear with a phone call, and I'm just the nanny. Just the help. Just a woman who ran away from her problems instead of facing them. You're not just anything. He closed the remaining distance between them, and suddenly his hands were cupping her face, his thumbs tracing her cheekbones. You're brilliant. You're strong. You walked into a foreign country with 2 suitcases and rebuilt your entire life from nothing. You're teaching my children to be brave, to be curious, to be better than I ever could. And you're so goddamn beautiful it physically hurts to look at you and not touch you. Jae-sung, please. I know this is insane. I know you're right that it's complicated and messy, and probably a terrible idea. His forehead dropped to hers, and Jenny's eyes fluttered closed. But I can't stop thinking about you. Can't stop wanting you. Can't stop imagining what it would be like to. Don't, she whispered. Don't say it. Because if you say it, I won't be able to resist anymore. Then don't resist. His breath was warm against her lips. Let me take care of you. Let me keep you safe. Let me. A door opened inside the penthouse. Footsteps. Mrs. Huang's voice calling something about a phone call. They sprang apart like teenagers caught kissing. Jenny's heart hammered. Her lips tingled. Her entire body was on fire. I should go, she managed. Check on the twins. Jenny. Good night, Mr. Kwan. She fled inside before he could say anything else, before she could change her mind, before she could do something stupid like kiss him and damn the consequences. But as she lay in her bed that night, staring at the ceiling, she knew the truth. It was already too late. She was already falling. And there was no way this ended without someone getting hurt. If you're hooked on Jenny and Jae-sung's story, hit that like button and drop a comment telling us, would you risk it all for a love like this? Let us know, because your comments fuel these stories. The weeks after the funeral blurred together. Seo-yeon threw herself into settling her mother's estate, spending long days with lawyers and accountants. The twins clung to Jenny more than ever, needing her steadiness, her warmth, her presence. And Jae-sung. Jae-sung watched Jenny like a man dying of thirst watching water. But they kept their distance. Careful. Professional. Dancing around each other in the penthouse like magnets forced to repel when every instinct screamed to collide. Until 3 months into Jenny's employment, when her visa situation became a crisis. She'd filed all the paperwork for the work visa, had attended the required appointments, done everything right. But Korean immigration bureaucracy was famously slow and unpredictable. Her tourist visa was expiring in 2 weeks, and the work visa still hadn't been approved. What happens if it doesn't come through? She asked Seo-yeon one evening, trying to keep the panic out of her voice. Then you'll have to leave the country and re-enter on a new tourist visa while we wait, Seo-yeon said absently, reviewing some document. It's complicated and expensive, but doable. Leave? But the twins. We'll understand. It's just bureaucracy, Jenny. It happens. But it wasn't just bureaucracy to Jenny. It was the threat of losing the first place she'd felt safe in years. The first family she'd belonged to since her grandmother died. The first time she'd felt like she mattered, like she was building something real. That night, she was in her room researching flights to Japan, the cheapest visa run option, when someone knocked on her door. Jae-sung stood in the hallway, still in his work clothes, looking uncharacteristically uncertain. Can I come in? Jenny's heart rate spiked. Is everything okay? Are the twins? The twins are fine. This is about your visa. She stepped aside, letting him in, hyper-aware that this was the first time he'd been in her private space. Her room suddenly felt smaller, more intimate, with him standing in the middle of it. Seo-yeon told me about the delay, he said, hands in his pockets, keeping distance between them. I made some calls. Jae-sung, you don't have to. It's approved. The visa. It'll be processed and ready in 3 days. Jenny stared at him. How did you? I know people. Called in some favors. He shrugged like it was nothing, like he hadn't just solved her biggest problem with a few phone calls. You won't have to leave. I don't know what to say. Don't say anything. Just. He ran a hand through his hair, and for the first time since she'd met him, he looked vulnerable. Lost. Don't leave. The twins need you. This family needs you. What about you? The question hung in the air, unspoken. Thank you, Jenny said softly. Truly. I know you don't owe me anything, but this means everything. I owe you more than you know. He moved closer, and she could smell his cologne, feel the heat radiating off him. You've brought life back into this house. Before you came, we were all just existing, going through the motions. But now Minjun laughs. Jiwoo sings. And I. He stopped, jaw working. Jae-sung. Let me take care of you, Jenny. Not just the visa. Everything. Let me make your life easier. Better. Why? She whispered. Why do you care so much? You know why. They were inches apart now, and Jenny could feel her resolve crumbling like sand in water. The twins' birthday is next week, she said, desperately trying to redirect. Jiwoo wants a princess party. Then she'll have a princess party. His hand came up slowly, telegraphing his intention, giving her time to move away. When she didn't, his fingers traced her jaw. Anything she wants. Anything any of you want. What if what I want is dangerous? Then we'll be dangerous together. Jenny closed her eyes, leaning into his touch despite every logical brain cell screaming at her to stop. This can't happen. It's already happening. And he was right. It was. Every morning coffee. Every accidental brush of hands. Every late-night conversation on the balcony when they both couldn't sleep. Every look that lasted too long. Every moment of restraint that made the tension stretch tighter and tighter until it had to snap. If we do this, Jenny said, opening her eyes to meet his, people will get hurt. People are already hurting. His thumb traced her lower lip and heat flooded through her. I've been hurting for 3 months. Every morning I wake up knowing you're 20 feet away. Every night I lie in bed thinking about you. Every moment I'm near you, I'm in pain because I want to touch you and can't. You're still married. On paper. Your children will be happier seeing their father actually happy for once in their lives. He cupped her face with both hands now. I'm not asking you to be a secret, Jenny. I'm not asking you to hide or be ashamed or accept scraps. When the time is right, when the divorce is final, I'm going to stand beside you publicly and dare anyone to say a damn word about it. When the divorce is final, that could be years. Then we wait years. I don't care. I just need to know you feel this too. That I'm not losing my mind alone. Jenny's hands came up, resting on his chest, feeling his heart hammering as hard as hers. You're not alone. The words were barely out of her mouth before he kissed her. It wasn't gentle. Wasn't tentative. It was 3 months of desperate restraint finally breaking, and God, it was everything. His lips were soft but demanding, his hands tangling in her hair, tilting her head to deepen the kiss. Jenny gasped, and he took the opportunity to trace her lower lip with his tongue, teasing, tasting, claiming. She'd been kissed before. Had thought she knew what passion felt like. She'd been wrong. This was passion. This drowning, consuming, world-tilting need that made her knees weak and her hands clutch at his shirt and her body press against his like she could crawl inside him and stay there forever. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Jae-sung rested his forehead against hers. Tell me to stop, he said roughly. Tell me to leave and I will. But if you don't, Jenny, if you let me stay. Wait. The word took everything she had. We have to wait. Not because I don't want you. God knows I want you so badly I can barely breathe. But because we have to do this right. For the twins. For Seo-yeon. For ourselves. How long? Until the divorce papers are filed. Until it's real, not just a plan for someday. She cupped his face, made him look at her. I won't be the other woman, Jae-sung. I won't be the reason your marriage ends, even if it's a marriage in name only. When we do this, and we will do this, it has to be right. Something flickered in his eyes. Pride, maybe. Or respect. When Seo-yeon's mother died, I promised myself I wouldn't waste any more of my life on shoulds. Only musts. Then this is my must. We wait. We do it right. And when the time comes, we're together publicly, honestly, without shame or secrets. He kissed her again, softer this time, reverent. You're going to ruin me, Jenny Obina. Good. You've already ruined me. He left shortly after, but his presence lingered in her room like a ghost. Jenny touched her swollen lips, her heart still racing, her body still humming with want. What had she just agreed to? A relationship with a married man, even one whose marriage was already ending? A risk that could cost her everything, her job, her visa, her safety net in a foreign country? But when she closed her eyes, all she could see was the way he'd looked at her. Like she was water and he was dying of thirst. Like she mattered. Like she was worth waiting for. For the first time since leaving Atlanta, Jenny felt like maybe, just maybe, she was done running. Maybe it was time to stand and fight for what she wanted, even if what she wanted was impossible. The twins' 7th birthday party was held on a Saturday in late November, and it was everything Jiwoo had dreamed of. The penthouse had been transformed into a fairy tale kingdom, complete with a throne, rented, tiaras for all the girls custom-made, and a royal court game that had the children giggling for hours. Minjun had been skeptical about the princess theme until Jenny told him every kingdom needed a brave knight, and then he'd thrown himself into the role with serious dedication. 20 children from Seoul International School attended, along with their parents, which meant the penthouse was full of Seoul's elite, all watching Jenny with varying degrees of curiosity and judgment. She felt every stare, heard every whisper, saw the way some mothers pulled their children closer when she approached, as if blackness was contagious. But she held her head high, smiled graciously, and reminded herself she was here for the twins, not their parents' approval. The traditional Nigerian outfit helped. She'd debated wearing it, knowing it would draw even more attention, but ultimately decided she was done hiding who she was. The vibrant orange and gold Ankara dress fell to her ankles, the matching head wrap framing her face perfectly. And underneath, where no one could see, her grandmother's waist beads rested against her hips, 23 amber and gold beads reminding her she came from Queens. "Jenny!" Jiwoo came running up, tiara slightly askew. "You look like a real princess. Even prettier than in the movies." "Thank you, sweet girl. Are you having fun?" "The best time ever." Jiwoo hugged her fiercely. "This is the best birthday in my whole life." Across the room, Jae-sung watched them, and when their eyes met, the heat in his gaze nearly undid her. He was talking to some business associate, nodding at all the right moments, but his attention was entirely on her. The way his eyes traced the lines of her body in the traditional dress. The way his hands clenched slightly at his sides. The way his jaw tightened when another man, one of the fathers, approached Jenny to make small talk and let his gaze linger too long on her curves. Seo-yeon noticed too. She glided over, elegant in a simple designer dress, and touched Jenny's arm gently. "You look beautiful," she said. "That color is stunning on you." "Thank you, Mrs. Kim. The party is a huge success. Because of you. I couldn't have done this. Wouldn't have known where to start." Seo-yeon glanced at her husband across the room, then back at Jenny. "He's filed the papers." Jenny's heart stopped. "What?" "The divorce papers. Last week. I signed them this morning." Seo-yeon's smile was sad but genuine. "It'll take 6 months to be finalized under Korean law. 6 months of living separately, of proving to the courts that reconciliation isn't possible. But it's done. We're done. Mrs. Kim, I know. And I'm not telling you this to pressure you into anything. I'm telling you because you deserve to know that when my husband looks at you the way he's looking at you right now, it's not because he's a cheater or a liar. It's because he's finally free to want something real." She squeezed Jenny's arm. 6 months, Jenny. Then there's nothing standing in your way except your own fear." She walked away before Jenny could respond, leaving her standing in a room full of people, heart racing, mind spinning. 6 months. That night, after the guests left, after the twins finally crashed from their sugar highs, after the cleaning crew had restored the penthouse to its usual pristine state, Jenny found Jae-sung on the balcony again. "She told you," he said without turning around. "Yes. I wanted to tell you myself." But Seo-yeon thought it would be better coming from her. Now he did turn, and the vulnerability in his eyes took her breath away. "I'm not asking you to be with me right now. I know we have to wait, but I need you to know this is real. I'm making it real." Jenny crossed to him, not caring any more about distance or propriety or being careful. She took his hands in hers. "You looked beautiful today," he said softly, his thumbs tracing circles on her palms. "That dress. Your hair. The way you moved. I wanted to tell every person in that room that you were mine. That they had no right to look at you like that, to judge you, to make you feel less than the queen you are." "A queen," Jenny repeated, her throat tight, thinking of her grandmother's words, of the beads hidden under her clothes, of all the women in her bloodline who'd survived and thrived despite everything. "Yes. My queen." He pulled her closer, one hand splaying across her lower back. "And when these 6 months are over, I'm going to make sure everyone knows it. No hiding. No shame. No pretending you're just the nanny. You'll be mine and I'll be yours and the whole world can deal with it. You make it sound simple. It is simple. I love you, Jenny. The words hung in the night air, enormous and terrifying and wonderful. You can't know that, Jenny whispered. We've only known each other for 3 months. I knew the second I saw you. The second you walked into my home in that interview dress, looking nervous and brave, and so beautiful it hurt. I knew. He cupped her face. You can tell me I'm crazy. You can tell me it's too soon. You can tell me all the logical reasons this doesn't make sense. But you can't tell me I don't know my own heart. Jae-sung, you don't have to say it back. Not until you're ready. I just needed you to know. Needed you to understand that this isn't a game or a midlife crisis, or me rebounding from a failed marriage. This is me, completely sober and clear-headed, telling you that you're the most important thing in my life next to my children. Jenny's eyes were wet. You're going to destroy me. No. I'm going to love you so thoroughly that you forget what it felt like to be anything less than cherished. And then he was kissing her again, and it was different from the first time. Slower, deeper, full of promise instead of desperation. This was a kiss that said I'm yours and take your time, and I'll wait forever if I have to. When they finally pulled apart, Jenny was trembling. 6 months, she said. We wait 6 months. 6 months. And then, Jae-sung said, tucking a strand of her hair behind her ear. I'm going to stand in front of Seoul and claim you as mine. And heaven help anyone who tries to take you away from me. But as Jenny lay in bed that night, replaying his words, touching her lips where he'd kissed her, feeling her waist beads against her skin, she couldn't shake a feeling of unease. Because she'd learned the hard way that when something seemed too good to be true, it usually was. And she had no idea that in a penthouse across the city, Jae-sung's sister-in-law Haewon was making a phone call that would change everything. I'm telling you she's a problem, Haewon said into her phone, scrolling through photos she'd taken of Jenny and Jae-sung on the balcony, their faces close, obviously intimate. A black nanny seducing a married CEO? This is a scandal waiting to happen. And I think we can use it to finally get what we want. On the other end of the line, Choi Dae-young smiled. Tell me everything. The first article appeared on a Monday morning. Jenny was making breakfast with the twins, teaching them how to make American-style pancakes with chocolate chips, when Seo-yeon burst into the kitchen, phone in hand, face pale. Jenny, I'm so sorry. I didn't think. I should have been more careful. What's wrong? Wordlessly, Seo-yeon handed her the phone. The headline screamed in Korean, but Jenny's 3 months of intensive language practice was enough to understand the gist. Hanmin CEO's marriage in crisis. Black nanny caught in intimate moment with married businessman. Below it was a photo. Grainy, taken from a distance, but unmistakably her and Jae-sung on the balcony. The angle made it look like they were kissing, though Jenny was pretty sure that particular moment had just been them standing close, talking. But that didn't matter. The damage was done. Oh God, Jenny breathed. There are more, Seo-yeon said quietly, scrolling. Different sites. All published within the last hour. Someone coordinated this. Jenny read through the articles with mounting horror. The Korean was difficult, but she caught enough words to understand the narrative being built. Gold digger. Homewrecker. African woman using her exotic looks to seduce a vulnerable married man. Predator targeting a broken family. I need to see Jae-sung, Jenny said, already untying her apron. The twins. I'll handle them. Go. Jenny found him in his study, standing at the window, phone pressed to his ear, his back rigid with anger. I don't care about optics, Jin-ho. Find out who leaked those photos and deal with it. No, not legally. I want them gone. Out of Seoul if possible, out of Korea if necessary. I don't. He turned, saw Jenny in the doorway, and his expression transformed from cold fury to raw concern. I'll call you back. Don't, Jenny said as he moved toward her. Don't tell me it's going to be okay. Don't tell me this doesn't matter. It doesn't. I just read 5 articles calling me a whore in 7 different ways, she interrupted, her voice shaking. Articles with photos of us. Someone was watching us, Jae-sung. Someone was waiting for exactly this moment. I know. I'm handling it. How? How do you handle this? You can't unring this bell. Can't take back these photos or these articles, or the fact that everyone in Seoul now thinks I'm sleeping with a married man. You're not sleeping with a married man. We haven't done anything wrong. Haven't we? Jenny laughed bitterly. That photo might be misleading, but the truth isn't much better, is it? We are involved. We are crossing lines. And now the whole world knows it. Jae-sung's jaw tightened. The divorce papers are filed. Seo Yun and I haven't been a real couple in years. None of this is. Do you think that matters to the people reading these articles? Do you think they care about the nuances of your arrangement with your wife? Jenny wrapped her arms around herself. I'm black, Jae-sung. I'm foreign. I'm the help. That's the story they want to tell. The predatory foreign woman who seduced the respectable Korean businessman away from his family. Then we tell a different story. How? By confirming we're together? By making it worse? She shook her head. Your company, your reputation, your children, all of this gets hurt by this scandal. And for what? For me. Yes, he said fiercely, crossing to her, pulling her against him despite her resistance. For you. Always for you. You can't mean that. I filed for divorce because of you. I'm fighting my own family, my board of directors, every traditional value I was raised with because of you. His hands cupped her face, forcing her to look at him. So yes, Jenny. For you. Every time. Every choice. Before she could respond, his phone rang. He cursed, checked it, cursed again. It's the chairman of my board. I have to take this. Jenny fled the study before she could break down completely. The rest of the day was a nightmare. By afternoon, reporters had somehow gotten the building's address. They camped outside, cameras ready, shouting questions in Korean any time someone entered or exited. The driver had to take the twins to school through the parking garage to avoid the crowd. Jenny's phone blew up with notifications. People she'd barely known in Atlanta somehow finding her number, asking if it was true, if she'd really broken up a marriage, if she'd gone Korean like they'd heard. And then Maya called. Girl, please tell me this is some kind of weird misunderstanding, Maya said the second Jenny answered. Please tell me you didn't actually fall for a married man. It's complicated. It's always complicated when there's a wife involved. They're getting divorced. The papers are already filed. Filed after you started working there. Filed after you caught feelings. Filed because of you. Maya's voice was sharp. Jenny, do you hear yourself? You're the other woman. I'm not, we didn't, we've barely even kissed. Oh well, that makes it so much better, Maya said sarcastically. Look, I love you. You're my sister. But you need to hear this. You're making the same mistake you made with Marcus. You're letting a man decide your worth. Letting him convince you that his love is worth the price you're paying. This is nothing like Marcus. Isn't it? Marcus isolated you from your friends, made you dependent on him, convinced you that you couldn't survive without him. And what's Jae-sung doing? Sponsoring your visa, paying your salary, housing you in his home. You think that's not a power dynamic? Jenny's hands were shaking. You don't understand. You're right. I don't. Because the Jenny I know, the Jenny who survived Marcus and built a new life in a foreign country, would never settle for being somebody's secret. Would never put herself in a position where her visa, her job, her entire stability depends on a man's good graces. Maya paused. But maybe that's not who you are anymore. The call ended. Jenny sat on her bed, staring at her phone, Maya's words echoing in her head. Was she right? Was this just Marcus all over again, dressed up in expensive suits and promises of forever? A knock on the door interrupted her spiral. Jenny. Jiwoo's small voice. Can I come in? Of course, sweet girl. Jiwoo entered slowly, her eyes red-rimmed. The kids at school were saying things today. Mean things. About you and Appa. Jenny's heart sank. What kind of things? That you're a bad person. That you're trying to steal Appa from Miyama. That you're... She trailed off, lip trembling. What baby? They used a word I'm not supposed to say. But it was about your skin. About you being different. Rage flooded through Jenny, hot and sharp. Did the teachers hear this? I don't know. I ran away. I hid in the bathroom until Minjun found me. She climbed onto Jenny's lap, suddenly small again instead of the confident 7-year-old she usually was. Are you going to leave us? Because of the mean people. Oh, Jiwoo. Please don't leave. Please. I know people are saying bad things, but you're not bad. You're the best person I know. You tell the best stories and make the best pancakes, and you never lie to us even when the truth is hard. She buried her face in Jenny's shoulder. Please don't let them make you go away. Jenny held her tight, tears streaming down her own face. I'm not going anywhere, baby. I promise. But even as she said it, she wondered if that was a promise she could keep. That evening, after the twins were finally asleep, Seo Yun found Jenny in the kitchen, stress-eating the leftover birthday cake. My sister did this, Seo Yun said without preamble. Hey one. She took those photos. She leaked them to the press. Jenny's fork clattered against the plate. Your sister? Why? Because she's always resented me. Resented that I married well while she married a middle manager. Resented that our parents favored me. Resented that I have money and status and connections. Seo-yun's expression was hard. And because she sees you and Jae-sung as an opportunity. If she can create enough scandal, enough pressure, maybe the board forces Jae-sung to resign. Maybe his business rivals see weakness and attack. Maybe she gets a payoff to keep quiet about more secrets. That's insane. That's family. Seo-yun sat down across from her. I'm telling you this because you need to understand what you're up against. This isn't just tabloid drama. This is a coordinated attack. And it's not going to stop with a few photos. What do you mean? Haewon has connections with Choi Dae-young. He's Jae-sung's biggest business rival. Has been trying to take over Hanmin Industries for years. If he thinks he can use you as leverage, as a wedge to create instability. Seo-yun trailed off meaningfully. I should leave, Jenny said quietly. If my being here is causing this much chaos. If you leave, Jae-sung will be destroyed. Not professionally. He'll weather the business stuff. But emotionally? Personally? You leaving would break something in him that's just started to heal. Seo-yun reached across the table, took Jenny's hand. I know this is hard. I know you're scared. But running isn't the answer. It never is. How do you know? Because I ran once. When I was 19, before the arranged marriage, I had a chance to go to Paris. To study art. To live my own life. But I was too afraid of disappointing my family, too afraid of the unknown. So I stayed and married Jae-sung and spent the next decade wondering what if. Her eyes were bright with unshed tears. Don't make my mistake, Jenny. Don't let fear steal your life. After Seo-yun left, Jenny sat alone in the kitchen for a long time, thinking about running, about staying, about what it meant to be brave. She thought about her grandmother, who'd bought that silver cross with the first money she earned as a free woman. She thought about all the women in her bloodline who'd survived worse than tabloid photos and racist comments. She thought about Maya's words. The Jenny I know would never settle for being somebody's secret, and realized her best friend was wrong about one thing. Jenny wasn't being a secret. She was being seen, maybe too seen, maybe in ways that were scary and uncomfortable and dangerous. But she was done hiding. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Her finger hovered over delete, but something made her check. The message was in English. You don't belong here. Go back to where you came from before things get worse. This is your only warning. Jenny's blood ran cold. She screenshot the message, forwarded it to Jae-sung, then blocked the number. Then she stood up, went to her closet and pulled out the most vibrant Ankara dress she owned. The yellow one with green accents that made her brown skin glow. Tomorrow, she'd wear it to take the twins to school. Tomorrow, she'd hold her head high and dare anyone to make her feel small. Tomorrow, she'd remember that she came from Queens. And Queens didn't run. The anonymous messages didn't stop. Over the next week, Jenny received dozens. Some via text from burner numbers. Some slipped under her door. One particularly nasty one left on the twins' school bulletin board where she'd see it during pickup. Gold digger. Home wrecker. Go back to Africa. You're not wanted here. He'll get tired of you soon. Jae-sung hired additional security. Increased patrols. Had the building management install new cameras. But whoever was behind the harassment was smart. Always staying just out of frame. Always using untraceable methods. The media storm hadn't died down either. If anything, it was growing. More photos appeared, some real, some clearly photoshopped. More articles speculating about the mysterious African woman who'd enchanted one of Seoul's most eligible CEOs. Korean netizens were brutal. She probably used some African voodoo on him, lol. Why would a successful Korean man want that when he could have any Korean woman? This is what happens when you let foreigners into positions of trust. They have no respect for our culture. Hanmin Industries' stock dropped 3% since the scandal. She's literally destroying Korean businesses. But there were defenders too, surprisingly. Why are we slut-shaming her? His marriage was already over. She's gorgeous. I'd risk it all to LMAO. Maybe instead of attacking the nanny, we should ask why a CEO's marriage failed in the first place. Love is love. Y'all are just racist. The support was nice but didn't outweigh the hate. Then 2 weeks after the first article, Jenny noticed something odd. She was at the twins' school, waiting in the parent pickup area, when she overheard two mothers talking in Korean. They didn't know she understood the language. Most people assumed her Korean was minimal because she was American. Heard it from my husband, who's on the Hanmin board. One mother was saying, there's going to be an emergency meeting next week. The shareholders are furious about the scandal affecting stock prices. Will they force him to resign? Maybe. Or at least step back temporarily. And if Kwon loses control of the company. She lowered her voice conspiratorially. My husband says Choi Dae-young has been positioning himself as the perfect replacement. Clean reputation, strong business record, traditional values. The same Choi who tried to buy Hanmin 3 years ago? Exactly. He never gave up. Just waited for the right opportunity. And now with this scandal, Jenny's blood ran cold. This wasn't just gossip or tabloid drama. This was a coordinated corporate attack using her relationship with Jae-sung as ammunition. She needed more information. She needed to figure out who and how to stop it. Over the next few days, Jenny became a detective. She started paying attention to everything happening around her. Who visited the penthouse? What meetings Jae-sung had? What Mrs. Hwang whispered about on her phone calls? She also started following Haewon. It wasn't hard. Seo-yeon's sister came to the penthouse often. Checking on the twins, she said, though she barely looked at them. She'd spend an hour with Seo-yeon, then leave, and Jenny would watch from the window as Haewon's driver took her to various locations around Seoul. The third time Jenny followed in a taxi wearing a hat and sunglasses like a spy movie cliché, Haewon went to a luxury hotel in Gangnam. Not unusual. Lots of business meetings happened in hotel restaurants and lobbies. Except Haewon didn't go to the restaurant. She went directly to the elevators. Private floor. The kind that required a key card. Jenny waited in the lobby for 2 hours. When Haewon finally emerged, she wasn't alone. A man in an expensive suit walked beside her, tall, handsome mid-40s, with the kind of confident stride that said he owned whatever room he entered. Jenny snapped a photo on her phone, then quickly searched the image on Naver. Choi Dae-young, CEO of Daehan Group, Hanmin Industries' biggest competitor. Bingo! But she needed more than a photo of them leaving a hotel together. She needed proof of what they were planning. The opportunity came a week later, at the twins' school cultural festival. Jenny was helping set up the around-the-world food stations. Her contribution was Nigerian jollof rice and chin-chin, which she'd spent all morning preparing. The twins were excited to introduce their friends to Jenny's special food, even if some of the parents gave her wary looks. Haewon showed up unexpectedly, claiming she wanted to support her niece and nephew. But Jenny noticed how Haewon kept checking her phone, kept glancing toward the parking lot. Then Jenny saw him, Choi Dae-young, walking through the school entrance with a young boy who must have been his son. Jenny made a split-second decision. She grabbed her phone, found a hidden spot behind the refreshment table, and waited. 20 minutes later, Haewon and Dae-young met near the bathroom hallway. Far enough from the main crowd that they thought they were private, close enough that Jenny could hear if she strained. She turned on her phone's voice recorder and listened. The audit will find what we planted, Dae-young was saying in Korean. 3 instances of supposed embezzlement, all leading back to accounts Kwon has access to. And you're sure it can't be traced back to us? Completely sure. The forensic accountants will think they discovered it themselves. By the time the board realizes what's happening, Kwon will be forced to step down pending investigation. He smiled. And I'll be right there, the perfect white knight ready to stabilize the company during this difficult transition. What about the girl? The nanny? What about her? She's already serving her purpose. The scandal has made Kwon look unstable, emotional, compromised. Once he's out, she becomes irrelevant. Just another foreign woman who tried to social climb and failed. Haewon's laugh was cold. I almost feel bad for her. She has no idea she's just a pawn. Jenny's hands shook as she stopped the recording. Rage and fear battled in her chest. They thought she was just a pawn. Just some stupid foreign girl who'd been used and would be discarded. They had no idea who they were dealing with. Jenny Obina came from a line of women who'd survived slavery, colonization, and every attempt to break them. She'd survived an abusive relationship that nearly destroyed her. She'd rebuilt her life in a foreign country with nothing but 2 suitcases and determination. Hey, we're about to learn what happened when you underestimated a woman who had nothing left to lose and everything to fight for. Jenny left the festival early, claiming a headache. She went straight back to the penthouse, locked herself in her room, and started planning. First, she backed up the recording to 3 different cloud services. Second, she made copies of all the documents she'd photographed over the last week, meeting schedules, financial reports left carelessly on Jae-sung's desk, email printouts that Mrs. Hwang had thrown in the recycling. Third, she called Maya. I need your help, Jenny said without preamble. I'm about to do something either incredibly brave or incredibly stupid, and I need you to be my backup. What kind of backup? The kind where if something happens to me, You make sure this information gets to the right people. Jenny took a deep breath. I'm going to war, Maya. And I'm going to win. Still with us? This story is about to get intense. Drop a comment letting us know what you think Jenny should do next. We read every single one. Jenny barely slept that night. She lay in bed, the recording playing over and over in her mind, planning her next moves like a chess player thinking 10 steps ahead. By 5 a.m., she gave up on sleep, showered, and dressed in her most professional outfit. A black pantsuit she'd bought for visa interviews, paired with a silk blouse the color of amber. Her waist beads underneath reminded her who she was, who she came from. She touched the silver cross at her throat and whispered a prayer her grandmother had taught her. Lord, give me the strength to do what's right, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. Then she went to find Jae-sung. He was already awake, standing on the balcony with his morning coffee, watching the sun rise over Seoul. The early light painted him in shades of gold and shadow, and for a moment, Jenny just looked at him. This complicated man who'd turned her world upside down. You're up early, he said without turning around. He always knew when she was near. Some sixth sense that connected them even across distances. I need to show you something. Now he did turn, and whatever he saw in her face made his expression sharpen with concern. What happened? Inside. Where it's private. They went to his study. Jenny closed the door, checked to make sure it was locked, then pulled out her phone. Before I play this, I need you to understand something, she said. What you're about to hear is going to make you angry. Really angry. But I need you to stay calm and listen to everything before you react. Jenny, you're scaring me. Good. You should be scared. Because someone is trying to destroy you, and they're using me to do it. She played the recording. Watched Jae-sung's face transform as he listened, from confusion to shock to a cold, controlled fury that was somehow more terrifying than if he'd shouted. When it ended, silence filled the room like smoke. How long have you known? His voice was deadly quiet. I suspected something was wrong after I overheard those mothers talking at the school. But I didn't have proof until yesterday at the cultural festival. Jenny met his eyes steadily. Haewon and Choi Dae-young are working together. The scandal with us was phase 1. Destabilize your reputation. The planted embezzlement evidence is phase 2. Force you out of the company. Once you're gone, Dae-young swoops in as the savior. And you're just collateral damage in their plan. We both are. Jae-sung played the recording again, his jaw tight. Then he pulled out his phone and made a call. Jin-ho, I need you at my house in 30 minutes. And bring Park Min-jun from forensic accounting. Yes, now. I don't care if it's 6 a.m. This can't wait. He made 3 more calls, to his head of security, to a private investigator, and to someone he only referred to as the cleaner. Which honestly sounded ominous, but Jenny didn't ask. When he finally set down the phone, he crossed to Jenny and pulled her against him, holding her so tightly she could barely breathe. You could have been hurt, he said against her hair. Following Haewon recording them, if they'd caught you. But they didn't. They could have. He pulled back, cupping her face with both hands. Don't ever take a risk like that again. If something happened to you, if you got hurt because of me. This isn't because of you, Jenny interrupted. This is because of them. Because Dae-young wants your company and Haewon wants revenge, and they both thought they could use me as a weapon. Well, they were right about one thing. I am a weapon. Just not the kind they expected. Something flickered in his eyes. Pride, maybe. Or love. Or that dangerous combination of both. You should have come to me immediately. I needed proof first. Needed to be sure. Jenny touched his chest, feeling his heart racing under her palm. Besides, I'm not some damsel who needs rescuing. I can fight my own battles. I know you can. You've been fighting them since the day you got here. He rested his forehead against hers. But you don't have to fight alone anymore. Let me help. Let me protect you. Then protect me by letting me finish this. By trusting me to see it through. What do you mean? Jenny pulled back, met his eyes. The board meeting is in 3 days, right? Where they're planning to present the evidence against you. Yes. Then we have 3 days to build our counterattack. To expose Dae-young and Haewon before they can expose you. And how do we do that? We let them think they've won. We play along. We let Haewon believe I'm just a scared foreign girl who's about to run back to America. We let Dae-young think his plan is working perfectly. Jenny smiled, and it wasn't a kind smile. And then, at the board meeting, we burned their whole operation to the ground. Jae-sung stared at her for a long moment. Then he started laughing, not with humor, but with something darker. More appreciative. You're terrifying, he said. Absolutely terrifying. And I've never loved you more. The words hung between them, enormous and undeniable. You mean that, Jenny whispered. You really mean that. Every word. He kissed her softly, reverently. I love you, Jenny Obinna. I love your strength and your courage, and the way you refuse to be anyone less than exactly who you are. I love how you fight for my children like they're yours. I love your mind and your laugh, and the way you touch that cross when you're nervous. He traced her jaw. And I love that you just handed me the ammunition to destroy my enemies while looking like an avenging angel in a pantsuit. Jenny's laugh came out choked, half sob, half joy. I love you too. God help me, I love you too. Say it again. I love you. Again. I love you, Kwon Jae-sung. Even though you're complicated and intense, and you make my life infinitely more difficult than it was before I met you. She kissed him, pouring everything she felt into it. I love you. The study door opened without warning. They sprang apart to find Min-jun standing there in his pajamas, rubbing his eyes. Appa. Jenny. What are you doing up so early? He squinted at them suspiciously. Were you kissing? There was a beat of frozen panic. Then Jae-sung crouched down to his son's level. Come here, buddy. We need to talk to you about something. Over the next 30 minutes, with Ji-woo summoned and still sleepy, they explained as much as 2 7-year-olds could understand. That Appa and Iyama were getting divorced. That they'd never really been in love. That sometimes grown-ups made marriages for the wrong reasons. And that Appa cared about Jenny very much. So you're going to marry Jenny instead? Ji-woo asked, practically bouncing with excitement. Someday maybe, Jae-sung said carefully. If she'll have me. But that's not for a long time, and right now. I knew it. Ji-woo crowed. Min-jun, you owe me 5,001. I told you they were in love. You bet on us? Jenny asked, torn between amusement and horror. Min-jun shrugged, looking very much like his father. Ji-woo said you looked at each other the way people do in movies. I said maybe you were just friends. We bet. I'm not sure if I should be offended or impressed. Impressed, Jae-sung said dryly. My son inherited my business instincts. Never make a bet you're not prepared to lose. The twins had 1,000 questions, which Jae-sung and Jenny answered as honestly as they could. Yes, some people would be mean about it. Yes, it was complicated. Yes, they'd have to be brave. But no, nothing would change how much they were loved. Can we still call you Jenny? Min-jun asked seriously. Or do we have to call you something else now? You can call me whatever feels right to you, Jenny said softly. Even Iyama? Ji-woo asked, so quietly Jenny almost didn't hear. Someday, when you and Appa get married. Jenny's eyes filled with tears. Even that. Someday. If that's what you want. It is. Ji-woo threw her arms around Jenny's waist. You're already like a mom. You make us breakfast and help with homework and tell us stories and you never lie even when the truth is hard. Real moms do that. Min-jun was slower to join the hug, but when he did, he whispered. I'm glad it's you. I don't want it to be anyone else. Over the twins' heads, Jenny met Jae-sung's eyes and saw her own emotions reflected back. Love and terror and determination and hope all tangled together. They had 3 days to prepare. 3 days to save Jae-sung's company, his reputation, and their future. 3 days before everything either fell apart or came together. Jenny touched her grandmother's cross and silently promised, I won't fail. I won't run. I'll fight for this family like you fought for yours. I'll be the warrior you taught me to be. And for the first time since the scandal broke, she wasn't afraid. She was ready for war. The emergency board meeting was scheduled for 2 p.m. on a Friday at Hanmin Industries headquarters. A gleaming tower in Gangnam that housed not just Jae-sung's company but his legacy. His grandfather had started with a single import shop in Busan. His father had turned it into a national chain. Jae-sung had made it international, with subsidiaries in 12 countries. And now someone was trying to take it all away. Jenny spent the 3 days before the meeting preparing like a lawyer building a case. She organized every piece of evidence, the recording, the photos, the pattern of media leaks that all traced back to accounts associated with Dae-young's company. Jae-sung's forensic accountant found the planted evidence of embezzlement and traced it back to a server in Daehan Group's building. They had everything they needed. At 1:45 p.m., Jenny walked into Hanmin Industries for the first time. The lobby was all marble and glass, with the company's logo etched into a massive wall. Clean lines, modern, powerful. Employees in neat business attire moved through the space with purpose. A few stopped to stare when they saw her, whispers following in her wake. She held her head high and followed Jae-sung to the private elevator. There are 20 board members, he said quietly as they ascended. 15 men, 5 women. Most are in their 50s or 60s. Conservative. Traditional. The chairman, Park Sung-hoon, is 73 and has been with the company since my father's time. If we can convince him, the others will follow. And if we can't, then I lose the company. Simple as that. The elevator opened directly into the executive floor. More glass, more polish, more people stopping to stare at the black woman walking beside their CEO like she belonged there. The boardroom was at the end of a long hallway. Jenny could see through the glass walls, a massive table, leather chairs already mostly full. 20 faces turned when Jae-sung opened the door, and Jenny felt the weight of every gaze like a physical thing. "Good afternoon," Jae-sung said, his voice carrying the authority of a man who'd been commanding rooms since he was 25. "Thank you all for coming." He led Jenny to 2 seats near the head of the table, across from Chairman Park. Dae-young sat 4 seats down, looking smug and confident in an expensive navy suit. When his eyes landed on Jenny, something flickered in them, surprise, then calculation. He hadn't expected her to show up. "Mr. Kwon," Chairman Park said, his voice gravelly with age and cigarettes, "we were told this meeting was to address serious allegations of financial impropriety. Yet you bring—" He gestured at Jenny with barely concealed disdain. "A guest?" "Miss Jenny Obina is here as a witness," Jae-sung said calmly. "She has information relevant to this board's decisions." "The nanny," one of the male board members scoffed. "This is a serious corporate matter, not gossip." "Let him speak," Park interrupted. "Continue, Mr. Kwon." Jae-sung stood, and Jenny saw the transformation happen. From the man who made her breakfast and played with his children, to the CEO who'd built an empire through sheer force of will. "3 weeks ago, someone leaked photos of Miss Obina and I to the press," he began. "Those photos were taken from inside this building, from an office on the 62nd floor, to be specific. An office that belongs to our CFO, who happens to be my wife's brother-in-law." Murmurs around the table. At the same time, evidence of embezzlement began appearing in our accounts. Small amounts, carefully hidden, all traceable back to accounts I have access to. The forensic audit that several of you requested found this evidence, as it was meant to. "Are you saying you didn't?" one board member started. "I'm saying the evidence was planted. Expertly. By someone with inside access to our systems and intimate knowledge of our security protocols." Jae-sung's eyes swept the room, landing on Dae-young. "Someone who had everything to gain from my removal." Dae-young laughed. "This is quite an accusation, Kwon. I hope you have proof, and not just paranoid conspiracy theories." "I have a recording." The room went dead silent. "Miss Obina," Jae-sung turned to her, "would you please play the recording you obtained at Seoul International School's cultural festival last week?" Every eye in the room locked on Jenny as she stood. Her hands wanted to shake, but she forced them steady. She placed her phone on the table and pressed play. The recording played in full. 3 minutes and 47 seconds of damning evidence. By the end, Dae-young's face had gone white, then red. "This is fabricated," he sputtered. She's a foreigner with no credibility, clearly trying to help her lover." "The recording has been authenticated by 3 independent forensic audio analysts," Jae-sung interrupted coolly. "I have their reports here. Would you like to review them?" Chairman Park held up a hand. "Miss Obina, where exactly were you when you recorded this conversation?" Jenny swallowed. "This was it. I was at my charge's school cultural festival, sir. I noticed Hae-won Kim acting suspiciously and saw her meet with Mr. Choi. I followed them. Why? Because I knew someone was trying to hurt Mr. Kwon, and I wanted to protect him." "How noble," one of the female board members said dryly. "Or perhaps you were protecting your meal ticket. Your visa sponsor? Your wealthy employer?" The words stung, but Jenny didn't flinch. "I was protecting the father of 2 children I love. A man who's been nothing but honorable despite what the media says. A man whose only crime was falling in love with someone his board wouldn't approve of." "Love?" The same woman sneered. "You expect us to believe." "I don't expect you to believe anything," Jenny interrupted, her voice strong, steady. "I expect you to look at the evidence. To listen to that recording. To ask yourselves who benefits from Mr. Kwon's removal. Because it's not me. I'm a nanny from Atlanta who came to Seoul to escape an abusive relationship. I had no agenda, no plan, no schemes. I just fell in love with a good man and his children. And if that makes me untrustworthy in your eyes, then so be it. But the recording doesn't lie." She reached into her bag and pulled out a folder. "I also have these printouts of emails between Hae-won Kim and various media outlets, all coordinating the release of photos and stories. I have financial records showing payments from Daehan Group accounts to the private investigator who took the photos. I have testimony from Jae-sung's security team about suspicious activity on the 62nd floor in the weeks leading up to the scandal. She placed the folder on the table with a decisive thud. I understand that you don't like me, that my presence makes you uncomfortable, that you think I'm not good enough for your CEO. And maybe you're right. Maybe I'm not sophisticated enough or Korean enough or connected enough. But I'm honest. And I'm brave enough to stand in this room and tell you the truth even when it's hard, even when it costs me everything. Silence fell over the boardroom. Chairman Park leaned forward, studying Jenny with eyes that had seen 50 years of business deals and corporate warfare. Miss Obina, you speak Korean. It wasn't a question. Jenny nodded. Yes, sir. I was raised by a Korean foster family from age 10 to 18. Yet you allowed people to believe you didn't understand. Why? Because people say things in front of me they wouldn't say if they knew I understood. And sometimes that information is useful. A ghost of a smile crossed the chairman's face. Clever. He turned to Dae-young. Mr. Choi, do you have a response to these allegations? Dae-young's composure was cracking. This is absurd. A recording that could be manipulated. Evidence gathered by someone with obvious bias. The audio forensics don't lie, Jae-sung interrupted. Neither do the financial records showing payments from your accounts to the PI who took the photos. Neither do the server logs showing the planted evidence originated from your building's IP address. Circumstantial. 23 pieces of evidence, Jae-sung said coldly. All pointing to you. All documented. All authenticated. He placed a thick binder on the table. The full report is here. Every transaction, every communication, every digital footprint of your conspiracy to take over my company by destroying my reputation. Chairman Park took the binder, flipped through it slowly. The other board members leaned in, reading over his shoulder. The room was silent except for the rustle of pages. Finally, Park closed the binder. Mr. Choi, I believe you should leave this meeting. And if you're wise, you'll leave Seoul as well. Tonight. You can't just. I can. And I will. Park's voice carried the weight of decades of authority. What you've done isn't just unethical. It's criminal. Corporate espionage. Fraud. Conspiracy. Mr. Kwon would be within his rights to press charges. If I were you, I'd accept his mercy and disappear before he changes his mind. Dae-young stood, his face purple with rage. He looked at Jenny with pure hatred. This isn't over. You think you've won? You're nothing. A foreign whore who got lucky. Jae-sung was out of his chair and across the table before anyone could react, grabbing Dae-young by the collar. Say one more word about her, he said, his voice deadly quiet. And I'll make sure you never work in this country again. I'll destroy every business connection you have. I'll make your name poison in every boardroom from Seoul to Singapore. Try me. Mr. Kwon, Chairman Park said calmly. Let him go. He's not worth it. Jae-sung released Dae-young with visible effort. The man straightened his suit, shot one last venomous look at Jenny and stalked out. The moment the door closed, the room erupted in conversation. Board members arguing, reviewing documents, discussing next steps. Chairman Park raised his hand for silence. Miss Obina, he said, on behalf of this board, I apologize for what you've endured. The media harassment, the threats, the racism, none of it was acceptable. And while I may have personal reservations about the unconventional nature of your relationship with our CEO, I cannot deny that you've demonstrated loyalty, courage, and intelligence. Qualities we should value in anyone associated with this company. He turned to Jae-sung. As for you, Mr. Kwon, your personal life is your own. Your divorce from Mrs. Kim is being handled appropriately and legally. Once it's finalized, what you do and who you love is no business of this board. Your performance as CEO speaks for itself. Stock prices will recover. They always do. What matters is that you've proven, once again, that you're willing to fight for this company. That you won't allow it to be taken by those who don't deserve it. Park stood, and the rest of the board followed. This meeting is adjourned. Mr. Kwon retains his position. The evidence against Mr. Choi will be turned over to authorities. And I suggest we all remember that loyalty, true loyalty, comes in many forms. Sometimes even from unexpected sources. He nodded at Jenny, then walked out. The other board members filed out slowly, some stopping to shake Jae-sung's hand, others avoiding eye contact. One of the female board members, the one who'd questioned Jenny's motives, paused. I was wrong about you, she said quietly to Jenny. I assumed wrong. I hope you'll forgive an old woman's prejudices. There's nothing to forgive, Jenny said, though her hands were shaking now that the adrenaline was fading. Thank you for listening. When they were finally alone in the boardroom, Jae-sung pulled Jenny into his arms. You were magnificent, he said against her hair. Absolutely magnificent. They didn't stand a chance. I was terrified. You didn't show it. You stood there like a queen facing down her enemies, and you destroyed them with nothing but truth and dignity. He pulled back to look at her. I've never been more proud of anyone in my life. Jenny's laugh was shaky. Is it over? Is it really over? The corporate part, yes. Dae-young is finished in Seoul. Hae-won will face consequences for her role. The scandal will die down now that the truth is out. He touched her face gently. But the hard part, rebuilding our reputations, dealing with the public judgment, navigating what comes next, that's just beginning. I know. Jenny leaned into his touch. But we do it together. Right. Together. Always together. They stood in that boardroom, the site of their victory, the place where everything had almost fallen apart, and held each other while Seoul glittered outside the windows. They'd won the battle. Now they just had to win the war for their future. 6 months later, Jenny woke to sunlight and children's laughter. 6 months since the board meeting. 6 months since Dae-young fled Seoul in disgrace. 6 months since the truth came out and the media narrative shifted from home wrecker to whistleblower. And 2 weeks since Jae-sung's divorce was finalized. She smiled at messages from Maya. Seoul's most eligible bachelor finally single. You ready? Jenny replied, ready as I'll ever be. Seo-yeon had given an interview explaining the arranged marriage, confirming the divorce was mutual and that Jenny had nothing to do with our marriage ending. It was over long before she entered our lives. Progress was slow, but it was progress. Jenny dressed in jeans and a yellow blouse. As she pulled on her jeans, her fingers touched the waist beads at her hips, 23 amber and gold beads, her grandmother's legacy. Hidden as always, but present. She found the twins making kimchi pancakes with Mrs. Huang, whose attitude had shifted to grudging respect. Jenny! Ji-woo spotted her first, running over with flour-covered hands. We're making breakfast. Well, Mrs. Huang is making breakfast, and we're helping, which means we're mostly making a mess, but it's fun. I can see that. Jenny kissed the top of her head. Where's your father? Meeting, Minjun said. He said get ready for something special. After dropping them at piano lessons, Jenny stood on the balcony where so much had happened. Her phone rang. Are you alone? Jae-sung asked. Yes. The twins are out. Mrs. Huang is shopping. Perfect. 10 minutes. He arrived carrying a large box, his expression unreadable, nervous anticipation mixed with determination. What's in the box? Open it. Inside was a custom hanbok in stunning burgundy silk with gold embroidery, and a Nigerian iro and buba in matching colors. 2 cultures. 2 parts of who they were becoming. I don't understand, Jenny whispered. Jae-sung took her hands. 6 months ago, I said when the divorce was final, I'd claim you publicly. I've been thinking about how to honor both of us, both cultures. He squeezed her hands. I'm saying I don't want to wait anymore. I want the twins to call you Yama for real. I want to wake up next to you every morning for the rest of my life. He dropped to one knee. Marry me, Jenny Obina. Not someday. Soon. As soon as you'll have me. We've only known each other 9 months. I knew after 9 minutes. Everything since has been confirmation. You're it for me. He pulled out a ring, emerald surrounded by diamonds set in gold. Emerald for the Nigerian flag. And gold because, he paused, eyes dropping to her waist where the beads rested beneath her clothes. Because it matches your grandmother's waist beads. The ones you wear every day but think no one notices. Jenny's breath caught. You know about them? Since the 3rd week. That morning you came out in shorts and a tank top, stretching, your shirt rode up. I saw the flash of amber and gold against your skin. His hand traced her waist through her blouse. 23 beads. I counted them one night when you were sleeping. The moonlight caught them. Jae-sung, do you know what it does to me? Knowing you wear them every day. Knowing they're there, hidden against your skin. A piece of your heritage, your grandmother, your power, right here. His palm pressed flat. The first time I saw them fully, when you trusted me enough, I couldn't stop staring. The way they rest on your hips. The way they move when you move. Amber and gold against brown skin like you were carved from precious things. Jenny's throat tightened. You never said anything. I was waiting for this moment. He pulled out a velvet pouch. Inside was a delicate gold necklace with 23 tiny amber beads, an exact replica of her waist beads. So you can wear your grandmother's strength where the world can see it, he said softly. When people look at you, they see a woman who carries her ancestors with her, who wears her power openly. He fastened it around her neck. The waist beads stay yours, hidden sacred. But this is for everyone else. So they know you come from Queens. Jenny touched the necklace, tears streaming. How did you? I had a jeweler study them while you slept. Counted each bead. Matched the amber shade. Got the gold weight right. His thumb wiped her tears. I wanted something that said, I see you. All of you. Every piece of your history and heritage and strength. And I love all of it. I don't know what to say. Say you'll marry me. Say you'll let me spend my life earning the right to see those beads. To know what they mean. To watch them catch the light when you move, when you're getting dressed, when you're dancing with the twins. His forehead touched hers. Say yes, Jenny. Let me worship every part of you. The parts the world sees and the parts only I get to know. She thought about her grandmother's words. You come from Queens. Queens didn't let fear steal their joy. Yes, Jenny said. Yes, I'll marry me. Yes to all of it. Jae-sung slipped the ring on her finger and kissed her like he'd been holding his breath for months. His hands found her waist, palms pressing where the beads rested, and Jenny melted into him. I want both ceremonies, he said. Korean paebik and Nigerian traditional. To honor both sides of who we're becoming. My parents are gone. Then we'll fly Maya out. Any family you want. A celebration spanning continents and cultures. He pulled back, hand still on her waist, thumb tracing where the beads lay. And at the Nigerian ceremony, I want to see them. Want everyone to see them. Want the whole room to know these are part of what makes you magnificent. Jenny laughed through tears. You really paid attention to everything. Every single thing. The way you touch your cross when nervous. How you adjust the beads when thinking. Your eyes lighting up when the twins say your name. Nigerian songs while cooking. Every detail, Jenny. You're the most fascinating thing I've ever studied. That's slightly obsessive. Completely obsessive, he grinned. Your curves own me from day one. But your mind, your heart, your strength, those own my soul. The twins came home to find Jenny wearing both rings and the necklace. Are you getting married? Jiwoo asked breathlessly. We are. Finally. Does this mean we can call her Iyama now? Yes to all of it, Jenny laughed, hugging her. It's what we've wanted since you got here, Minjun said seriously. He touched the necklace. This is pretty. Is it new? Your father gave it to me. It matches something my grandmother gave me. Can we see? Jiwoo asked. Jenny glanced at Jae-sung, who nodded. She lifted her blouse slightly, showing the amber and gold beads at her waist. What? Like treasure. They are treasure, Jenny said softly. Passed down through 4 generations. My great-great-grandmother bought them with her first money as a free woman. They remind me I come from strong people. From Queens. You're our queen, Minjun said seriously. Appa said so. Jenny looked at Jae-sung, who smiled unapologetically. She looked at these children who'd stolen her heart, at the man who'd counted her grandmother's beads in moonlight and commissioned jewelry to honor her heritage, at the ring and necklace glowing, at the life she'd never dared dream. Thank you, she whispered, for letting me belong. When Jae-sung pulled her close, his hand found her waist again, pressing gently against the beads, and Jenny knew she'd finally found home. Not just in Seoul, not just in this penthouse, not just in his arms, but in being fully, completely, unapologetically herself, curves, culture, beads, strength, and all. And being loved for every single piece of it. The end. If Jenny and Jae-sung's story touched your heart, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment with your favorite moment. What powerful story should we tell next? See you in the next one.